Well, hello. My name's Caleb. Just a quick, like 1 to 2, maybe 3 minute, I make no promises, introduction. Um, I live in Saratoga Springs, Utah. I'm from Washington State. Grew up right outside of Portland, Oregon, but on the Washington side. And been in Utah for about half my life at this point. I studied Spanish in college. I was a Spanish teacher for a little bit. My background is primarily in education. For the last 6 years, I've been working as a software trainer. So I've been training lawyers and paralegals on how to use a specific type of case management software, actually, Filevine. Anyways, and then I was let go in January and have been putting all of my time and energy into UGC. And yeah, things are going well with that. Um, in 2 years ago, so beginning of 2024, I started developing a product for ultra marathoning, a type of hydration vest. And I know how to sew. I love projects and building things and creating things. And I also decided that I was going to do everything myself, from the photography to the videography, the marketing, the social media, everything. And that's when I had learned some photography before, but I learned some more. And I also got into videography, and that's when I got into CapCut, and I started doing a lot with CapCut. And I have just been using CapCut for everything, even like longer cinematic films. It's just easy to use, and I've learned how to use it and everything like that. So, um, yeah, and then I launched a nonprofit last year for Spanish teachers. So, videos and audio and materials for Spanish teachers. And I used a lot of my videography skills to curate and create those materials. And so that is what I am bringing to the table: education, training, software, and stuff like that. So, anyways, with that being said, today we're going to start with the basic process from getting your clips from raw clips into an exported video, and then how to get that exported video onto your phone. So first, this training assumes that you, one, have downloaded CapCut onto your computer. I'm not doing a tutorial on that, so you'll have to find a tutorial on how to download it onto your computer if you haven't already done it. But Google is a really great place to get started with that. Um, the second thing, I'm also not going to go over how to get files onto your computer, like video files and audio files and things like that. So that being said, yeah, I'm not going to cover those things. I am on a MacBook. I use a MacBook Air. Um, Mac and PC, Apple and PC, similar in some ways, but different. And the way that CapCut functions is similar, but also different. Um, so I'll be kind of talking to you about those differences. A lot of times when I say command, I will also follow that up with, for PC users, control, because that's how a lot of times there's that translation of command on a Mac to control. Um, the command key on a Mac, the control key on a PC being very similar, but we're going to look at the shortcut keys and things like that as well. Um, and then the next thing is that I do have CapCut Pro, so there are some professional CapCut Pro features that I can use, but a lot of the things that we'll go over are not Pro features, and so I will, yeah, you'll be able to see whether they're Pro or not, and I'll show you how to do that. So you can see all my projects here. I've opened up CapCut. I'm going to create a new project. And it's opening up on my other monitor, which we'll get to in just a second. So there's a couple ways that you can do this. Um, if you've downloaded a file, then you can actually drag and drop into CapCut from your downloads. If you've got it on your, for example, I've got this. Yeah, I think this will be great. I've got this UGC quick access. Um, I've got a bunch of quick files that I can access, video files, and those are on my desktop. I have an external hard drive that I use quite a bit because it is a terabyte worth of space, and that's wonderful. Um, so, with that being said, the reason why I bring that up is because right now we're going to bring over this CapCut window right here. And what you have to understand is that when you are using CapCut on your computer, if you take, yeah, let's do my portfolio intro video. If I take this video and I drag it and I put it into the timeline, which is exactly how we're going to get that video into our timeline. From now on, CapCut is going to use the route that we just created. And that route is this folder called UGC Quick Access that has all of these files, all of these video files inside of it. It is now going to use that route to reference that video. If I were to, and let's go ahead and do an example of that. If I were to take this video and put it onto my desktop and then come here and try to edit this video, well, sometimes that might have been a little anticlimactic. Let's go ahead and close out of CapCut real quick, and we'll go back into the here. Okay, let's go here. Saved a project. Let's open that back up. And maybe it's going to do something a little bit different. So I guess if you're using it on an external hard drive and you're dragging it from your desktop onto the external hard drive, etc., it sometimes will not track. And it looks like it tracked quite well in this way. So anyways, so that's how we're going to get it into CapCut. And I can take all of these clips and bring them in here for our purposes today. Yeah, let's go ahead and grab one more clip. Let's do this 30-second. This was the one that I created for the Billo app. Oh, look at that handsome face. All right. So I drag these in here. You'll notice as I hover over a lot of these little breaks, the separators, I guess, that you can actually you can click and then you can kind of drag and you can make things bigger and smaller. You can kind of move these things over and get more space on certain things. You can change the layout of this up here in the top right. So up at the top, there's this like, and the thing that I don't love about CapCut on the desktop is if you hover over stuff, a lot of times you get like a little menu drop down that'll be like views or configurations. This doesn't give you any kind of anything like that. So, but I'm going to click on this. Perfect. And I've got the default view going. I like the default, to be honest. There's also a media view, attributes, vertical, etc. So you can experiment with these. Actually, I want to try vertical. Let's see what. Oh, all right. Actually, kind of like that. Have I've been doing more and more vertical. Okay. Yeah. Let's I actually like having a really long timeline. So, even though I'm kind of into that, let's go back to the default. Okay. So, with that being said, what I'm going to do now is we've got on the computer, we've imported into CapCut. Um, so basically, what I would say is move the file to wherever you're going to want to keep it, and it has to either be on some kind of hard drive, whether it's external hard drive, an SD card, a CF Express card, if you're familiar with that, or on the desktop of your computer, but it's got to be there. You can't just do it. I guess there is a web version of CapCut, but this is, yeah, probably also good to cover. There's a web version that you can use on your browser on your computer of CapCut. It's a little bit slower in my experience, but maybe that's because I'm on Wi-Fi and I don't have like a super fast internet connection. One of the things that I would do is I would rename this project up top. Click on that little 03301, and I'm going to rename this to Caleb's CapCut tutorial. This is going to be nice for organizational purposes. And then also when I go to export it, it's going to be really nice as well. Okay, how to find and use. Okay, let's talk shortcuts. Um, Top right, right next to the views and configuration, there's whatever this little icon is, but it's for our shortcuts. Click on that. This is huge. This is huge. There's a couple here that we are going to want to remember. Split, Command B, which for you PC users, it might be Control B. Split all. That's if you have multiple layers, you can split everything, which comes in handy. There's another tool where you can go into split mode. We can talk more about that later, but for our purposes today, split is a really good one. And yep, that's probably one of the big ones that we're going to use. And you can take a look at some of these other ones and play around with that. I would say go in and play around with it. Okay, so I've got these two clips. I want this clip. So you can stack these and here, let's move this up a little bit. So you can put a bunch of clips on top of each other. That we'll get to some of the cool things that you can do with that a little bit later. But we're going to keep this simple. We're going to keep this simple. So what I want to do here is I can take this and I can move it. This timeline, by default, it smushes things together. It collapses. So if let's say that I were to say, yeah, I don't want the part where I'm talking. I want the clip right here where it shows my UGC work. Okay, I'm gonna go over the top with my timeline. I've clicked on this, I've dragged it. This is where I want my cut to take place. Couple things that I can do. If I just do Command or Control B, hold down Command, hold down Control, and then hit B, it is going to make a cut there because it's on this main layer, this main timeline thing right here. Now, let's say that I scroll forward. Okay, so I want to keep this of all my UGC work for this video. Something else that I can do is I can click on there. So kind of like with the phone where you have to select the clip. This is nice because I can do Command B again, and it automatically selects everything to the right. And so that's nice if I needed to delete a bunch of stuff automatically. So there's just two ways to do that. Let's say that I've stacked some things like I have here, and I want to slice through all of this at the same time. That's where that combo shortcut, and on a Mac, it's Command Shift B. On a PC, it's probably Control Shift B. So I'm holding down Command or Control. I'm holding down Shift, and then I'm clicking the B as in Bravo, and it's going to slice through everything. And then I can say delete. Perfect. And then I could move this down here, and you can get rid of certain things. Perfect. And yeah, this is looking good. What's next? Yeah, so let's use this as our example. This is great for our purposes. We've got eight 8 minutes and 8 second 8.23 seconds. Um, let's say you wanted to zoom in and get a really good cut. This is one of the reasons why I love CapCut for on desktop. Is on a trackpad, I'm going to use my fingers and I'm going to kind of like if you were zooming in on something, pinching, right? You're going to pinch, expand, squeeze, contract, and so I'm just going to hover over wherever I want to kind of zoom in on that timeline, and I can come in and I can get down to my frames. So right now, 12, 13, 14 frames, 15 frames. So this is really nice. Like you can get in very granular, very detailed. Um, oh, I was going to say something else. So let's split a clip. Yeah. So that's how I can get in. So I can come in. Oh, yes, yes, yes. I know what I was going to say now. Um, before I go into kind of making a cut there, let's go over to the left-hand side, click on this little ellipsis, the track settings. If you hover over it, that's what I would want to see on all their buttons, honestly. I hover over it, it says track settings. Awesome. I'm going to click track height. I like going into the tall. Now, if you have like tons and tons of layers, you're putting text on top of video, on top of an image, on top of a photo, on whatever, that's where having kind of a skinnier, slimmer clip is really nice. For our purposes, we're not going to really do that a whole lot. So having a bigger one is, I mean, maybe I'm just getting old. I'm turning 41 this year, so you know. So I'm going to click on that again. I want my audio wave to be a little bit bigger because now I can make cuts where there is where there's no sound. Um, if certain videos, right? If you really wanted to get granular in making a cut where there isn't any speaking or any sound, great. You can do that. I'm going to do a Command B right there. I'm going to select that clip, hit delete, and now it's gone. Okay. Okay. Now let's put some text on here. I guess probably don't necessarily need text, but I feel like it's a pretty basic thing. Top left, we've got this kind of these different tools. I mean, tools all over the place, so many tools. Um, but this one for text, I'm going to click on text. And then I'm going to add that in there. We've got a lot of really cool option text effects. You can play around with that. I'm just going to do some basic text. I'm going to add that in right there. And you can see along the line, you can say, yeah, I want it to last for this many seconds or whatever. Perfect. And then over here on the far right, up in that kind of in that top right corner, this is where I can change the text of whatever I'm putting in there. Caleb is so freaking awesome. That is true. I never type things that are not true. And then we've got a lot of other options here, formatting and colors and font size and all these awesome things. Awesome. Okay, what about captions? Let's do captions. That's pretty important for UGC. Captions, of course. So I'm going to come up. You would think that, hey, there's this little option here called captions. That's if, oh my gosh. Oh, okay. 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 So we've got captions and we've got text. So in captions, um, this is one of the places, and maybe this changed. I'm sounding like an idiot, and I'm not even going to edit this video. I'm just going to make it. I'm just going to send it. Full send, baby. So in captions, you've got auto captions. In text, you've also got auto captions. So you've got the same thing. Apparently, you can do it in both places. For some reason, I don't think you used to be able to do it there, but whatever. Great. Auto captions. English We want bilingual, not necessarily, but maybe at some point. And then I'm just going to hit generate. Um, I'm going to let you kind of mess around with the captions. But oh yeah, I'm just going to put captions on top of captions. But um, mess around with this. But one thing, the thing that is really good to know is that if you click on the captions, which it's automatically highlighted after I do those captions, top right, we've got this little caption thing up here in the top right, captions. That is going to allow me to select and look through those captions so I could say, okay, Scoville, I'm a 40-year-old. I want to put some dashes in there. I want to put a period. And then I want to capitalize this high because I never leave a high uncapitalized. And I'm a professor. Nope, I am not a professor. I'm a UGC creator. That's kind of funny. But because we were messing around with the audio and making clips, that all happens sometimes. This happened to me before where the audio was going and then this stopped, but I was still talking. So you can actually highlight this and then drag it over to wherever that is. Something that I usually have on is if you come over here to the right, there's the main track magnet, which is kind of what I was talking about. So for example, let's make a cut right here. And let's make another cut right here. If I select this right here and then delete it, it's going to use that magnet to pull it in. Okay. Something else that's really nice is if you make a mistake, just like on a Word document, on Microsoft Word, Google Docs, and lots of different software, if you make a mistake and you want to go back, you've got this option over here on the very far left to do undo. But you also can use the typical shortcut key of Command or Control Z and restore whatever you did. Let's turn off the track magnet. Okay, so I just clicked on that turn on main track magnet. I turned it off, and now I'm going to delete that. And now it's not coming in. So, and I think if I click on this, yep, it's going to do it automatically. That can be really nice if you're making a lot of cuts and you want them to all kind of come together. I also do auto snapping. What auto snapping does is when you are taking any kind of clip, and yeah, let's go ahead and do something like this. You can also duplicate a clip, like this little clip right here. You can go Command or Control C. So kind of your typical copy, and then you can do Command or Control V for pasting. And there it is right there. So auto snapping. I want this clip to go right there. So I'm going to grab this and I'm going to bring it and snap right there. Maybe I've got another clip, or maybe it's the same clip, and I'm going to bring that over here. I can then bring this and it'll go right up against it, flush against that. Nothing in between those two clips. So pure, smooth rolling from clip to clip. So that's really nice too. All right, insert text, generate captions, exporting it. How do we get this into a full video now? I love this video. It's looking so good. Top right corner, we've got this export right here. Now, if you have turned on, and actually I can't remember. Well, let's go back. There's a couple ways that we can do this. One is let's go into top left and go into CapCut. and go into settings, CapCut settings, save to, download to, screen recording, cache size, auto sync. Turn on to upload your projects to Space automatically. So if you are doing stuff on your phone, it will it'll upload it to your phone. The issue is that it'll fill up depending on how big the files are and everything like that. So if you click on auto sync, that'll make it so that on your phone you can access what you've done there. So that is definitely an option for for that. I've used all of my space and I'm too lazy right now to go back through and clear that out. Um, but that's a good option if you want it to go to your phone. One of the things that I do, especially because I do some longer clips like for YouTube and filmmaking and things like that, is I will export this to my desktop. So top right hand corner, I'm going to click export. Awesome, that's what I want. Where do I want it to export to? It says that it's going to my desktop, which is perfect, but what if I wanted it to go into a specific folder or into my external hard drive if I had that connected? I'm going to click on this little folder icon right here, and then that's going to pull up my directory, my file directory, and then I could say, yeah, I actually want it inside of this Gravitrax Star Wars folder. Open that up. Great. Open, and now I'll be able to export it there. So I'll go ahead and click on export. I've got some settings there, 1080p, 24 frames per second, things like that. I wouldn't mess too much with that. We can do more on that later. So that's looking good. It'll autoplay. The thing is about CapCut I'm Caleb Scoville, and I'm a 40-year-old. Yes, I am. The thing about CapCut is because it's either owned by TikTok or TikTok owns it or whatever, you can post like automatically to TikTok from your computer. You can also do it to YouTube. Instagram doesn't support it, probably because it's the Facebook metaverse. Um, but you can see that we've got some options there. But let's say I wanted to export this. I don't have space or I can't figure out how to do it onto my phone or something like that. Totally fine. I'm going to click cancel on that. I'm going to minimize this. I'm going to come into my Gravitrax Star Wars folder. And now I've got my video right here, Caleb's CapCut tutorial. From here, I can take this file and I can upload it to wherever. The way that I typically will do it is I will upload it to my Google Photos. And then once it's on my phone and I can access it from Google Photos in order to load it into X and Instagram and TikTok and all the other places that need it. And even some of these apps for UGC that don't allow you to do anything on the browser, but you have to do it through the app. It has to be saved to your phone. So once it's in your Google Photos, you are going to download it onto your phone. Okay. So I'm going to take this. In fact, let's do a Google Driver Tracks. Yeah, I think this is good. Okay, cool. Let's go into my photos. Perfect. Project I was working on. There's me with long hair. That's my son, like years and years ago. Anyways, I'm going to take this and then I'm just going to take this and go drag. Nope, I don't know what just happened, but I'm going to take this and I'm going to drag it over, drop that file into my Google Photos, and now I'll be able to see it on my phone. I'll be able to download it onto my phone from my Google Photos. I think you can do something similar with an iPhone and an Apple. And that is start to finish how we would do just the most basic stuff, the necessary stuff, a lot of things that you're going to need to do. We'll do some more tutorials. And yeah, I hope that was helpful and Yeah. If you've got anything for me, great. Let me know. Pay it back, pay it forward, help each other. I love it. Let's make it happen. I'm gonna stop now.